G'day and welcome to Aussievision. I'm Kyriakos and we have Hugo with us here today.
G'day.
And we'll be talking about Australia and our entry for Eurovision 2022, Not the Same by Sheldon Riley. Now, Hugo, would you like to tell us a little bit about Sheldon?
Yeah, sure. He's been on quite a few singing competitions on TV in Australia. Rose to fame after competing on The Voice for 2 years in a row, and then went on America's Got Talent and made quite an impression there. And he won the third edition of Australia Decides. Did a Jamala, as we like to say, came second with the jury, second with the televote to have a nail-biting 3-point win. Now he's got the ticket to Italy for this year's Eurovision.
Yeah, he does. And today we'll be looking at the jury and televote appeal of the song. Now, we got the members of the Aussievision team to give a score out of 10 or what they think the jury and televote appeal is. And we've tallied up the votes. Now, the average score out of 10 for the jury appeal for Australia from the Aussievision team is 9.14. Now, Hugo, that's actually quite high. That puts Sheldon right up there, really, with a chance to possibly maybe even win the jury score. Well, that's what I think anyway. What are your thoughts on the scoring from the team?
Potentially a little bit biased, but I do tend to agree. I think Not the Same is more of a jury song than a televote song. So it definitely doesn't surprise me voting well with the Aussievision team. But there's a clear reason for that. Sheldon's voice is absolutely amazing. The pre-party performances, potentially not his best, a bit of travel, jet lag, whatever, getting in the way. But we saw what he did at Australia Decides, and we've seen him on The Voice in previous years. Just his voice and his ability to hit those high notes and display that emotion while singing, really, really quite incredible, and something the juries will definitely lap up, I feel.
Yeah, I've picked up on the same points. His voice and emotions. Our score really does scream jury friendly, and especially with his vocal performances we've seen and the emotion that Sheldon can put into his voice, I really think juries will lap this up. And Australia has actually done very well with the juries when we sing ballads. So in the semi-final for 2017 with Isaiah, we actually came second with the jury. And then in 2016 with Dami Im, she came first with the juries in the semi-final. So I think Sheldon does have a chance of repeating our success, which would be amazing. But we also know he has some stiff competition in the second semi-final. Okay, now it's time for the televote appeal. The average score out of 10 for the televote appeal for Australia from the Aussievision team is 7.14. Now, that's a touch lower than our jury appeal scored by 2 points. So the team think that viewers may not be behind Australia as much as the jury, but only just slightly. What do you think, Hugo?
Yeah, like I touched on before, I think this is more of a jury song than a televote song. So if the entry does have any sort of Achilles heel, it may be a televote appeal. It's coming up against two other really strong male ballads in its semi-final. So potentially there may only be enough votes to go around for one, maybe two of those songs. From a positive point of view, I think that emotion and that ability to connect down the camera really shines through with Sheldon. That climactic moment of the taking off of the mask, and then he's almost crying in most of the performances he does, really displaying that emotion. So if the viewers are in the right headspace for that type of performance, I think this still does have definite televote appeal. But it's all a matter of how the public are sort of feeling at the time, because they could just fob it off as another male ballad, given there are quite a few in this semi-final especially. But I do think this has televote appeal, and we're being quite harsh on it. I mean, like it's a really good jury song and a really good televote song as well, but potentially just a little bit less for the televote appeal.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there as well. Usually when I think with Australia and Eurovision Televote, I always think that we don't do that well. But when I went back and actually looked at how we've done the semi-finals and when we qualified for a grand final, Australia actually has a not bad track record. So I've got some notes here. In 2016, we actually came second with the televote in the semi-final. 2017, we came 15th. We know why. 2018, we came seventh. And 2019, we came second with Kate Miller-Heidke, one place higher than where the juries put us. So it's actually not too bad. And yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's Poland, Azerbaijan, that I think they're different songs, but they're going to be compared. They're the sad boy ballads. And yeah, will they cancel each other out in the semi-final? Don't know, but there is a factor to consider there. Now, Hugo, how do we think Not the Same is going to go? Is it going to qualify? And if it does, where do you think it will land in the grand final?
Definitely do not want to put the moz on this, but I think this is absolutely sailing through to the grand final. I think even if it doesn't do as well with the televote, with the jury, I think it'll get enough points to get through to the grand final. Sheldon's been quite vocal about ramping up the staging. It was already quite something at Australia Decide, so I'm very excited to see what he does there. For the grand final, again, there'll be some really good quality ballads, male and female. So I think it'll have some stiff competition. I think this will bank a good jury score, especially if Sheldon can nail those vocals, which we know he can. And for the televote, potentially might depend on a running order type of thing. If it's in the first half, potentially it might get lost. Or if it's in the second half, then maybe it'll be up around where viewers start to take a bit of interest. But I think definitely this will go to the final. And I have high hopes for it for the grand final. It's one of my favourites this year.
Well, I have to reiterate the same comments, really. I truly think this is our best shot at taking it out, the semi-final, since Dami Im. And Sheldon has mentioned, as you mentioned as well, his staging apparently is ridiculous. He's going to try and live up to Australia's expectation of creating beautiful staging. He said that himself. He said even that his outfit's going to be 100 times bigger than what he wore at Australia Decides. So I think he's definitely going to go for a wow factor or creating like a Eurovision moment. So I definitely think he's going to qualify from the semi-final too. I'm hoping for a top 3 as well from that. We even see him win and follow Dami Im and Kate Miller-Heike's footsteps of winning a semi-final for Australia. So when it comes to the grand final, I'm really hoping for a top 5 result from Sheldon. That would be amazing. But we know he's definitely eyeing for that trophy as well. Well, there you have it. Thank you, Hugo, for the chat about Australia this year. And we'll have to wait and see how Sheldon goes in the semi-final 2 in Turin on May 12th. That's the morning of May 13th for us Aussies. And thank you for joining us, and catch you later.